All right. Good. Well, welcome, everyone. And my name is Mary DeSalt, and welcome to the Harvard-Smithsonian Youth Astronomy Network, otherwise known as YouthAstroNet. And here on the call with me is Erica Wright, who's an education specialist here in the Science Education Department, and Frank Sinkowitz, who is our telescope engineer. Are you on camera, Frank? I just don't have you yet.
Myself.
Okay. Oh, I just have to go scroll. Good.
Yeah.
Oh, there you are. Okay. Yep. Good. Aladdin Ibrahim, who's our software specialist, isn't on the call, but all of us are the core team for the Youth Astronomy Network. And then there's other people from the Center for Astrophysics as well, who during the course of the program over the next months and hopefully years, you'll be meeting lots of people from the observatory, and we'll tell you more about that as we go along. So I just wanted to introduce you to where we're from and the program. So we are all sitting in Cambridge, Massachusetts at the Harvard-Smithsonian Center for Astrophysics. And our building is in the upper left of this slide, the little brick building. We're sitting right in there at the moment. And you can see there's a couple observatory domes, although those are really old. In fact, the one in the background is from 1843. It's a historic telescope. These days, there's not much observing that's done from Cambridge, Massachusetts, because it's really cloudy and not very good skies here. But we are one of the largest centers for astronomy research in the world. And the scientists here have telescopes on Earth and in space. And some of the things you see on the screen, we have the NASA's Chandra X-ray telescope on the upper left there is operated from here at the Center for Astrophysics. We have astronomers who study the sun. You can see a great picture, satellite picture of the sun over on the right. We have engineers who build instruments. In the lower right, you see one of the engineers from our engineering facility building the Solar Dynamic Observatory telescope, which is now in space, making that image of the sun that you see right above it. Astronomers here study the solar system, study stars, galaxies, and other solar systems. That's a very exciting discovery. And so we hope to kind of introduce you and your kids to a lot of the fascinating science that goes on here. We also, in addition to being a center for science research, we have a science education department, and that's where the YouthAstroNet program is coming from. We have a long tradition of developing curriculum for both classroom and after-school environments. We develop science museum exhibits. We develop tools for teaching and learning. And the YouthAstroNet program is really centered around one of our really most amazing tools for teaching and learning and for using technology for learning. And that is our micro observatory robotic telescope network. So these are telescopes that you and your youth can control over the internet without any human in the loop. And this is really the way astronomers here do their work every day. They don't put their eye on the eyepiece of a telescope anymore. They send a message to that telescope in space or to that telescope on the top of a mountain in Hawaii to aim at this target and send back an image. And that's exactly what you will be doing with your students. These are 2 of 5 of our telescopes. We have 5 telescopes. And as you see on the slide, these are named Ben and Cecilia. Ben is named after Benjamin Banneker, the first African-American astronomer. And Cecilia is named after Cecilia Payne-Gaposchkin, who was an astronomer early in the 20th century, and actually it made amazing discoveries really about what stars are made of. So anyway, these two telescopes are at the Smithsonian's Whipple Observatory in Arizona. We also have a telescope on our roof here in Cambridge. Actually, I'm going to bring it into view right now with a webcam. And there's the one of the telescopes that's on the roof right above where we're sitting. And you can see it's raining here in Cambridge, so not a great day to do observing here, but hopefully better in Arizona. And that's the neat thing about having telescopes you control over the internet, because they can be at sites that have better observing than where you are. And that's all right. So somehow I'm gonna get this out of the way. Okay. So YouthAstroNet is this. I want to tell you a little bit about what you've gotten yourselves into here. So YouthAstroNet is a program funded by the National Science Foundation, and it's based on a lot of earlier work we've done with the telescopes with schools and after-school organizations over the last several years. So it's based on field-tested curriculum and programs we've done in face-to-face situations where we've helped educators facilitate programs with the kids. This is a multi-year project, and you guys are the first nationwide cohort, so we're really excited to have you involved in this program. What we're trying to do is build out this kind of nationwide community of educators and students using our telescopes to learn not only about astronomy but other STEM topics, using cyber learning or remotely. So the NSF program that funded this YouthAstroNet is the NSF's iTest program. And it's iTest stands for Innovative Technology Experiences for Students and Teachers. And so NSF in particular is looking for new models for engaging kids in science, technology, engineering, and math in ways that can motivate them to be interested in potential careers or further learning in these topics, even if they don't decide on a particular career. So let's see. There we go. So our intended outcomes for this project are probably similar to what your intended outcomes are for when you work with youth. We want to help them learn some skills that are going to be useful no matter what they go into. Perseverance, collaboration, teamwork, digital media literacies. We also are hoping they both develop some interest and knowledge of some science and engineering content, which they'll get by using these telescopes and pursuing projects with them. We'll talk a little more about those projects in a bit. They will be doing the same kinds of analysis and science practices that the scientists here do, and in fact using the same technologies that scientists here do all the time. So our long-term goal is that your youth develop an identity as someone who can do science, even if they don't decide to be a scientist. I feel like I have I had a good fortune of learning a lot about music. I have a music identity. I'm not a musician, but I have part of my identity is I'm a music person. And so we want kids to have that feeling around science as well. We also hope that some of them will develop an interest that they might not have had before in careers related to science, technology, computer programming, and we'll introduce them to some of those ideas, and we'll introduce them to real people who have those careers from our STEM mentor network. I'll probably come back and mention that later as well. Okay, so as I said before, the program, the YouthAstroNet program, is based on some elements of pilot projects we've done over the last few years. And here's the essential elements of the program. Kids learn to control those micro-observatory telescopes, and they learn to analyze the images that come back from them to pursue questions of their own interest. And they use the image processing software, the same kinds of techniques that astronomers use. That's the first element. They use our telescopes. Second element is they use them for a purpose, to create some kind of product, and we try to set up all our activities so there's some youth product at the end of it, even if that product is an image that's been enhanced and has a caption to go with it. The third element of the program is that it's really multidisciplinary, and that's because astrophotography is related to photography. Image processing is not only an astronomy thing, it's done in medicine and in engineering and in everyday life. With your iPhones, you're doing image processing. It involves learning about light and color and all the multiple skills that are involved in creating some kind of product at the end of a program. So these are the essential elements. And one thing that came up in a couple of the last webinars is I want to emphasize the program itself. The way you implement it is very adaptable. It's flexible to your context. So while we want you to include these essential elements, the way you do that is up to you. We ask for kind of a minimum of 8 to 10 contact hours with kids, because we don't think kids can learn to use the telescopes, analyze the images, and create something in much less than that. But it could be a 2-hour after-school thing that goes the whole semester. Or maybe you have kids at a drop-in center or a club that goes for years. Or it could be 2-3 Saturdays in a row where you engage kids in YouthAstroNet. Or a school vacation week program. So again, the actual structure of your implementation is very adaptable around these essential elements, and we'll have examples for you of how to participate. I guess at this point, did I want to? No, I'll show that later. Okay, I'll show that later. All right. The other thing actually is the NSF funding is bringing all these added elements to the YouthAstroNet program, added resources that you'll have access to as an Astronet member, and most of which is centered around an online YouthAstroNet Portal for learning, which we'll be introducing you to in the January online training. So today is the informational webinar to kind of let you know what you got yourself into. In January, you'll really get into it. Elements of that YouthAstroNet portal, there's a online workspace. I'll show you that in a bit, where there's an educators area. Actually, I'll get to that in a bit. And your kids have their own workspace. There's projects that kids can go through and pursue in a self-paced manner, but there's also activities that for you to facilitate as a group. The project has the opportunity to have video conferences like this one for behind the scenes tours. We'll be hosting astrophotography contests and things like that that you and your students can join. And because it's an NSF project, we're asking you and your students to participate in taking surveys about the effectiveness of the program, but also about your own interest in STEM learning, and your students will take surveys about their interest in STEM learning. So one of the roles of YouthAstroNet educators such as yourselves is going to be to help us by getting parental permission. We will provide forms to get the parental permission for youth to take these surveys. Again, they'll be anonymous. We don't know who the youth are. And here's some examples of the kinds of questions that the surveys will ask. I want to understand science. I talk with my family and friends about science. It's more important to me to learn new things than to get the best grades. If I go to college, I'll probably major in science. So we're going to give these surveys at the beginning and the end of the program. We want to see if there's any changes, but we also want to see if there's particular aspects of the program, because we have lots of kids all over the country participating. And are there things that we did that some groups did and other groups didn't that had more of an effect? Then we can share that with everyone. So that's kind of what the research is all about. We know that it's a bit of a burden for you to have to kind of get all those parental consents and ensure that your kids take the pre and the post survey. So at the end of an implementation, at the end of the implementation with your youth, we do offer a $250 stipend to the lead educator for a particular group. Okay, so here's our YouthAstroNet portal. Again, as I mentioned, we're going to go to it in a minute, the beta version. There'll be a section just for educators, which has online discussion forums and downloadable activities and lesson plans and video tutorials about how to implement something. So there's lots of resources for educators there. And then there's the main activity portal, which is the one that youth sign on to. Each of you will get a group account with sub-accounts for each student. And you'll have the ability to manage and see those accounts and see your students' activities, and their parents can look at those accounts as well and see what kinds of things their kids are pursuing on YouthAstroNet. So let me actually escape out of this slideshow for a minute so I can, oh, won't go there. All right, let's exit and we'll go to our portal, which I find, come on. There we are. Okay. Oops. Oh. So again, there's a series of challenges, and this will get even longer through the course of the program, where there's lots of challenges kids can pursue, and when they finish things, they get a checkbox. So there's kind of, and they can also earn badges. You can see here I have the survey taker badge because I took my pre-survey, and the aspiring astrophotographer badge here. So there's kind of some incentive built in for kids to keep doing things. We hope to build in badges for the educator site as well, so there's some incentive for you to keep doing things as well. So right now I'm going to go through very quickly. Again, we'll be showing you really how to use the telescopes in January. But right now I want to go through very quickly the process of asking for an image from our robotic telescopes. So I'm going to go back to the main YouthAstroNet page. You'll see there's the main activity portal, an educator portal, a parent portal, which we hope to come online after your soon. We have more work to do on that. So we go to the robotic telescope tools, micro observatory tools, and there's three aspects to this. Requesting an image, so sending a message to the telescope, this is what I want to look at, and this is the settings to set the telescope at. Getting the images you requested, because this is not, you don't control these telescopes live. It's not like you say, go look at the moon, and then a picture of the moon shows up. You tell the telescope, I want an image of the moon tonight, or if the moon's up late in the afternoon or tomorrow morning, the telescope will go take that picture and put it in your account. So this is the area of the account where your images get placed, and then use the images. That's where you're going to visualize your images and see them and colorize them and work with them, make measurements on your images, all kinds of things. So let's do simple image request here. And where is my, let me make sure I have the chat box open for this so I can see here. Okay, so you can see that we have 35 or 40 targets here available tonight, some of which are grayed out. They aren't available tonight. And I'm gonna give some opportunity for audience participation here. The first person to type in the target they want to see into the chat box, that's what we'll go look at or go take an image of. So I'm going to see what comes through here and see Jupiter. If anyone sees Jupiter. Did Jupiter come in?
Yeah.
Oh, I see. I'm not scrolled to the bottom. All right, Jupiter, Mary, excellent choice. We'll go take a look. Okay. So for Jupiter, this is the page where you tell the telescope the settings for that object. And so field of view, we'll be learning more about this in January. Has to do with the setting on the camera for the amount of sky the telescope is looking at. 1 degree is about a chunk of sky the size of your pinky fingernail if you hold it up at arm's length. So if you try to cover up the sky with your pinky fingernail, that's a 1 degree field of view. Then we need to decide the exposure time, the amount of time that the shutter in the telescope is going to open up and let light in and then close. And the question is Jupiter a bright object or a dim object? Because the exposure time depends on that. So any guesses in the chat box as to whether we want a short or a long exposure time? Long. Let's try long. 30 seconds. Oh, image may be overexposed. So we get a little guidance here from the, because Jupiter's a bright object. You can see it with your naked eye. It's bright in the sky. So let's see. I'll try for 1 second. Ah, still overexposed.
Underexposed.
Oh, under. Ah, okay. So
yeah.
15 seconds. There we go. Thank you. Thank you for pointing that out. And the telescope also has a set of filters which get kind of wheeled on a filter wheel into place above the detector. And for Jupiter, it's so bright that we put in a gray filter. And we'll click continue. So now it says the Jupiter camera, main camera image was requested for M. Dussault. And if I go to my image list, I can see at the bottom, I have Jupiter here pending. That just went in. And in the last webinar, we put in the Hercules cluster, and that's pending too. And then here are all the images I have. So how do you look at the images you have? Well, for that, we go to this tool. which is an image processing tool. It's kind of like Photoshop, but it's a specialized image processing tool for telescope images, for astronomy images. There's a lot you can learn from digital images, and that's what a lot of the program's about. So just to give you a brief demo, I have some Orion Nebula images here, which I'm gonna try and bring one of them up. There it is. So when you first see this image, it doesn't look like much. There's kind of some stars in there and some drippy stars. These are actually overexposed. You learn about saturation in digital detectors. So there's not much there, but I'm going to use some controls to change the way that is displayed and enhance the my image here, and see that there's actually quite a bit more in this image of the Orion Nebula than it first appeared. And once there's a big cloud of gas and dust, and I'm going to colorize it because I want to make it look cool. Okay. And actually, it appears like during my exposure time, what is that, Frank? An airplane?
There are a couple.
A couple,
there, right?
Yeah.
So that looks like either a drone or an airplane.
They have drone. This is facing south, and this is actually near the border.
And Border Patrol.
And so Border Patrol, there's something that went by during the exposure here.
They have airplanes, drones, and helicopters. That might be an airplane because you see one is brighter than the others.
Right, right. Okay, so it could be the main light and then the little the little wing lights of a airplane. So interesting things can happen in students' images, as you see, students can add text and label their images and create a final product, or do an investigate size and scale, take an image of the moon every night for a month and create a moon calendar. They can do any number of projects through YouthAstroNet. I want to show you an example of some youth projects, actually, just because a lot of times the youth are much more innovative than we have. They come up with ideas to do with these images that we never thought of, and so I wanted to give you an example of that. These are some kids from a tech center museum we collaborated with, and I'm going to click on Luna's space video here. The assignment was to make, they had a tech lab, and they had movie making software on their computers. I think iPads have movie making, so then and so they made a 30-second movie using their images to tell some story about astronomy. So here's Luna's. Here we go. Anyway, I sort of, whoa. Anyway, I kind of enjoyed those, but you could see that those students not only developed their image processing skills, because those were some incredible images of galaxies and the moon, but they kind of combined lots of other skills to tell those little stories. So that's just a taste of what you can do. Again, in January, we'll be we'll be giving a training on we'll get you guys involved in using the telescopes. Let me find back to my slide here. Okay, oops. Okay. By the way, I didn't show this earlier, but this is once that request for Jupiter, Mary, gets to the telescope, at some point later tonight or tomorrow morning, I think Jupiter is up.
It's a morning.
Our telescopes will go into gear and start aiming themselves at the correct target. Open up that shutter for, what did we say, 15 seconds, and put the gray filter into place and send that image back to, in this case, my account, but in January, it'll be all of your accounts. I wanted to mention that the project not only engages kids in the astronomy they can learn from using the telescope, but also in all the kinds of science processes and practices that go into creating a system like this that can remotely image an object. One of the things we'll be able to do is we're getting workshop sets, kits of electronics bits. They're called little bits that we can loan to programs for a week or two at a time. And these little electronics bits will allow kids to do design engineering projects to design the kind of subsystems that make up a robotic telescope. So to design a shutter that moves over a light detector, to design the use a motor to put the shutter in place, or the filter wheel. In fact, I think Frank has some. Oh yes, Erica, if you can find Erica's video, I think I can pin that somehow if I find it. There it is. Actually, maybe I'll make that the big video. Here, I'm going to stop the share for a minute and pin that video. Here we go. Here are some of these little bits that have, we actually had a high school kid design this. This is a structure that can turn around on an axis and point itself to any place in the sky, which is what you need a robotic telescope to do. It has a little light sensor here, where my cursor is, and this is a little shutter. Frank, can you make that shutter open up so that the light sensor can see? Oh, no. Trying to figure that out. Where's the switch? Here's the readout of the brightness that the light sensor sees. And so kids can put all these subsystems together and really open up the black box that is our robotic telescope system. Oh, there we are. Yeah, okay. He's just opened the shutter manually. I know there's a switch that can do that. Great. Awesome. There we go. There it is. And you can see the readout increase, right, when there's more light and the shutter is open than when it's closed. Sure you can see all that. Oh, there we go. Nice, nice, Frank. And there's a bar graph readout here and a digital readout. So these are just examples of some of the hands-on activities that kids can do, as well as the online and telescope control activities. All right. How am I doing here? Okay, good. Let me see. Somehow I can get this. All right. All right. So digital image processing. Another option that is part of the program is to actually have access to the team here and our network of STEM professional mentors. We are currently recruiting scientists, engineers, grad students, undergraduate students, and other people who have interesting jobs that kids may never have realized involve knowing some science. A graphic designer, a public affairs specialist, educators. There's lots of people here who have put their STEM learning to use in different kinds of careers. And so helping kids understand that is a part of the program as well. In the lower right here, Joe DiPasquale is one of our first science STEM mentors. He is actually the science imager for NASA's Chandra X-ray Observatory, which is operated out of the Center for Astrophysics here. And so he does, as a profession, his professional job, what the students will be doing with the micro-observatory images. He gets the data back from the telescope and enhances the images to tell a story for the scientists. Okay. So this was kind of an introduction to what you're getting yourself into. We're going to leave some time for questions now. I want to kind of paint the picture of next steps. In January, and during this period from Wednesday, January 13th to February 4th, we'll have an online workshop for YouthAstroNet educators, for you, our first cohort of YouthAstroNet educators. And what that means is not that you have to be online for 3 weeks, but that during that 3-week period, we'll have a series of kind of little mini assignments and challenges for you to do. So you'll try and take your own image of the telescope. With the telescope, you'll enhance that image and post it to the online discussion board with questions and answers. We'll have conversations on the online discussion board, and we'll go over some of the hands-on activities that you can do offline with your kids, and how to we'll go over how to create student accounts on the online portal. What you should expect is to spend during that 3 weeks about 8 to 10 hours of time at your own pace, using the online discussion boards and doing these tasks. During that period, we will have 2 live webinars, one to kick off sometime right around the 13th, and we'll have a couple different times when you can join that. And then one kind of 2/3 of the way through to kind of do some live training and discussion of some activities. But most of it will be self-paced. And then after that, one of the things we'll also talk about during that workshop is ideas for implementation. You'll have opportunities to see how other people are planning on implementing it. We'll have some implementation models and ways that other educators we've worked with have done a program with kids, so that you can then, after that, start engaging kids in YouthAstroNet. So right now I'm gonna kind of open the floor to questions, and you can type those in the chat box, or if you'd rather kind of ask by voice, raise your hand and we'll try and unmute you if you can't unmute yourself. So I want to make sure people get their questions answered. Giving a little wait time here. People are typing.
You're typing?
Yes, there's typing going on out there. Is there a limit to the number of students we can involve? The limit's probably more at your end than at our end in terms of we have a minimum. We hope that you'll engage at least 9 or 10 students, but we have some people who have suggested they have 100 kids or more, and that's okay. We'll create. Typically, you wouldn't. I assume you wouldn't be engaging 100 kids at once. You might have 5 groups of 20 kids, and we would create 5 group accounts for you, or possibly 1 group account with subgroups. We have to figure that out. We'll figure that out. Again, you're our first cohort. We'll be learning with you, but I think most of you have indicated the number of students you hope to involve, and we certainly hope to expand the network as we go along. So to the degree that you have capacity to engage more kids, we will try to make sure we have capacity too.
And go back to timelines. Timelines
and funding for instructors to support event. Yeah. So again, the intention here is that as the first cohort, you would be implementing some sort of program sometime between February and May. It's okay if you don't, and you don't get to, you plan a big summer program, and that's fine. But the intention was that it would be during that time period. Again, the exact structure, exact timing of that is up to you. We'll keep in touch with you. Erica is going to be our kind of go-to logistics person to know when people are implementing and when you're going to need particular resources. But we, the exact timing is up to you. We'll have a form so people can indicate to us when they're implementing, and so that we can be monitoring and make sure we're answering your and kids' questions online during that implementation.
The minimum amount?
I mentioned 8 to 10 hours of contact. Is that the amount recommended in a week or over multiple weeks? Again, that's flexible. I've done the program with people who've done it in 2 half-day workshops, where the first day the kids learn how to use the telescopes, they learn how to do image processing, but they don't have their own images yet because the images haven't come back from the telescopes, and they start planning an exhibit display. And then on the second half-day workshop, they have their images back, they do a little research online and write captions and create an image display. They put a whole exhibit together, and in 8 to 10 hours, they've done a project. That's an intense 2-day kind of experience. We've done other educators have implemented, 90 minutes after school for 10 weeks. So it really is flexible in that way. And kids can pursue projects outside of your program as well, because their account, they can always sign into their account. I think I've kind of covered the timeline things. The funding, again, unfortunately, this program provides all the content and resources and high quality STEM education resources. We don't have funding to support your implementation of the program. We do have a $250 stipend for educators from each site, not for each group of kids, but for each site, as a stipend for helping us collect the data from the kids. So in order to get the $250 stipend, your responsibility is to ensure that we've gotten the pre and post surveys from all those students who engaged in your program. Other questions?
When do you turn in surveys?
Oh, right.
So the surveys for you, we have educator surveys and youth surveys. For educators, we'll probably be giving you a pre-workshop survey in January, possibly a post-workshop survey, and then another one, later this year, just to ask you about how the program went and things like that. Students, when they sign on to the YouthAstroNet portal, they actually, the first thing they do is fill out the pre-survey, and then only then does access to the telescopes kind of unlock. So the first thing they do is fill out the survey. It's the post survey that we really need you to make sure they do, because we don't know when they're done. And so it will be online as well. They do it within their account on the portal. But the post survey depends on the timing of your implementation. Yes, there are multiple curriculum activities. We will be going over some of them in January. Those will be in the educators portal and downloadable. So yes, there's ready-made lesson plans and curriculum and activities for you to do. And of course, that's after the minimal 10 hours of exposure. Yes, that's right. That's right. Yeah, exactly. So, yeah.
And then Moodle educator.
Will we be able to see our students' account activity? Yes, you will. You will have, actually, if let's see, if I escape this somehow, I think I can get to, and kind of show you. So if I go to my course, I can look at my participants, and I have Frank here in my course, and I can click on Frank, and I can look at his activity.
Hasn't been much.
Oh, today's hits on YouthAstroNet by Frank. None. Okay, so Frank, go. So you'll have the ability to see what activities your kids are doing online. Yeah. Let me look at my chat box. I just lost it. Any other questions before? I will say, I just want to emphasize how excited we are to have this great group of educators from all around the country, from Chicago and Indiana and Michigan and North Carolina, and I know I've missed some places that you guys said you were from, but we're very excited, and we expect to learn as much. Florida, excellent. We expect to, and Texas, we expect to learn as much from you as we hope you'll learn from us. So again, we'll put the slides from today's presentation. Erica is going to put together kind of an FAQ of questions that came up, and a recording of this webinar, and make them all accessible to you. And then we'll be in touch after the new year to make sure everybody's ready for the online training in late January. The content of the surveys gets at the 21st century skills, content, knowledge as it relates to STEM. Yes, there's a couple different ways of assessing kids through the program, because in fact there'll be some kind of some online quizzes kind of test your knowledge and test your skills that kids can do along the way, and you'll have access to those as well. The NSF-funded research that we're doing is primarily aimed at students' self-perception of their skills, awareness, interest, and knowledge, and the degree to which that develops or not through the course of the program. So I guess the answer is kind of yes. And anyone else? Okay, again, Erica is your erica.wright@cfa.harvard.edu if you have any questions at all. And you know, once we get everybody online in January, you'll also just be able to use your portal to ask questions, and that way everyone can see the answer to a particular question you've answered, because everybody's on the discussion board. So one of the things we really want to do is create a sense of this community that's all engaging their students in the same kinds of experiences. Okay. Well, again, thank you all. We're kind of at the end of our hour. This was a great time. We're so excited. Thank you for joining us. We'll be in touch in January. Oh, if you want to get a feel for the telescopes before January, there is a public portal. Doesn't have quite all the resources of YouthAstroNet, but there is a public portal to the telescopes at microobservatory.org. I don't know if, Erica, you can type that into the box so they can copy and paste, but we'll send it to you as well. Microobservatory.org, and that is a portal through which you can actually request images from the telescope. You'll get them back in an email rather than on your account. So that might be something if you want to dabble before January over the holidays. All right. Thank you all. Have a great holiday season, great new year, and we will be in touch with YouthAstroNet. I'll unmute everybody so everybody can say goodbye. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Everybody.
Bye-bye.
Okay, I am so excited to see